map running and checking the compass and everything else at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting the running techniques that people have, because you can't really use your arms as much as you would possibly like to. Some people are holding it in other particular hands and trying to keep one arm quite still.
There are the runners passing each other. Number 10 was Imogen Scott from New Zealand, picking her up for the first time.
But Leah Vercelotti has the new quickest time into control number 8, but only by 1.6 seconds.
So this is something we'll see now as the pace quickens, as the better runners come out. That time will change significantly.
Oh yeah, definitely. It will drop by a lot. Here's Leah again, taking, looks kind of slightly quicker than we saw Ozrina Kuketa go through. Looks stronger in her running style, I think, and looks slightly quicker covering the ground. Here, looking at some route choice options of both Kuketa and Vercelotti deciding to go down the steps. Pretty much the same route choices. There's not much decisions to be taken there, but here is where Vercelotti basically got ahead of Kuketa, taking the northern route. Seemed to be much, much quicker. And as we switch to the second half of the map, they are still quite equal, but Vercelotti looks like she's going just slightly quicker.
But there, the proof, if ever it was needed, the runners are not following each other because they are taking different decisions on certain parts of the courses.
Of course, and those decisions not really being too much different now. One of the home favourites, Sara Häggström. This is her first year as a senior and has been tipped as one of the coaches as one of the best ever people in the senior years. She's, I think, only running the sprints this year, so is going to put absolutely everything into this race. We know that. Oh, but already struggling on that number 2 that's offering that route choice difficulty. Yep. She knew exactly her way out of number 1, but then hit the bank and was suddenly didn't really have her plan yet. Maybe she's probably figuring that out just now and has probably already got it and heading on her way.
No, she was given a huge reception as she left, but there was a collective intake of breath in the stadium when everybody saw her stalling. But she's back underway, but high expectations of Häggström.
And when it's difficult to know how much effort the athletes put into qualification and how much they have left in the tank, because it was only this morning the women were qualifying from 9 until 10 this morning, and now it's coming up to 4 o'clock and they've got to go out and do a whole nother race. And so it's going to be interesting to see who has the energy left, who held something back from the qualification. And that's really why the last 3 people on the start list, the winners of the qualification, may not end up being the winners.
Well, it's much cooler now than it was in the morning as well, and that might play a part, although they could get caught with some showers at the end, the tail end, of the faster runners, which might change things, but we'll wait and see. It's still blue sky, but some clouds around. Nothing to bother anyone at this stage. This is Kosova from the Czech Republic, number 13, negotiating the traffic. And there's the challenge, to elbow a few folk out of the way.
She probably knows a lot about elbowing a few folk out of the way. She was 6th in the WOC relay last year, and there's always a bit of elbows out when you're in the relay, battling amongst your rivals. Can be very close quarters, and I'm sure we'll see lots of that tomorrow in the sprint relay. But she's getting a good reception as she comes quickly through the run through. Followed by number 12, Tatsina Zuravleva from Belarus.
And some of these early order runners beginning to bunch up now.
So that's a whole minute caught up on the Belarusian athlete there by Denisa Kosova.
He's obviously going well. And of course,
and we've had the news. We've had a split from the field into control number 3. Sara Häggström has gone in at just 0.2 of a second quicker than Denisa Kosova. Denisa Kosova looking very, very good through the run through, but Sara Häggström at the moment 0.2 ahead, and hopefully she can make that gap bigger as she goes around the course.
There are only 2 minutes between them. 13th and 15th they started. This one of the earlier starters, Peramon from Spain.
That looks like she's going through to control 19, just about to make her way back into the arena. We might be able to see her right at the back of shot there. As a runner from New Zealand goes through, it's Laura Robertson.
Laura Robertson, who was 40th last year.
And she is currently second quickest by 0.3 of a second going through this run through. And here we have the first finisher.
I think there are Spanish friends in front of us here. There's the first runner.
First runner is from Latvia.
Latvian, followed by number 1, the Bulgarian, Liliana Gotseva. They've both gone through.
And then we'll have Peramon as well. So the first three starters finishing within a few seconds of each other.
Now there's the big finish, and you'll see as the race develops there, they've put down a carpet. Some of the runners will throw themselves over the line in a bid to eke out maybe a split second or something that could be vital.
And this is Sarah Hegstrom coming around the corner into the run through. She'll get a great cheer as she appears on the TV screen for the audience. Lots of Swedish flags being waved. Sarah Hagstrom, though, is down through this run through. She's only in 6th position, has evidently lost a bit of time. She's 13 seconds down on the leader going through this run through. We'll get a time check at her on the next couple of controls to check. But look, she's taking a good look at her map just before she goes up this bridge. You can't really look at it on the bridge. That's too much technical thing. Like, you don't want to fall over on the bridge, but
she's gone to the left.
She's chosen to go to the left on this one, but she knew exactly where she was heading even before she went up that bridge. So no delays for her as she chooses the route with the steps up here.
She'll get a huge lift everywhere she goes, no doubt, but just get the feeling she's having some difficulties with the map. She seems to be spending more time on the map in some of these areas than some of the earlier runners. But she might make that up as she goes through the course.
Possibly. It's all about the time that you have on the map, though. If she's spending the time but getting the decisions right, then that may pay off for her. So she's been out for just about 7 minutes so far, heading into the split control that we'll find.
And the runner coming after her should be Charlotte Ward, who's the first of the British runners. And here's Sarah Hagstrom. And there's an indication now of the time, Catherine, the way it's panning out. She's in 6th place at the moment.
Yeah, has lost a bit of time since from the third split that we saw. Those are a lot of the controls that were very close together, so maybe not getting her control flow quite as neat as some of the others.
Laura Vicky, the Latvian, who was the second starter, has gone through the arena. And here's some of the choices now. Laura Robertson and Hagstrom comparing how they've changed their routes, but seem to be following or making the same decisions more or less. Big change there.
Yeah, looks like the northern route was definitely quicker, and then she was kind of slow coming out of number 5, where Robertson really caught her up. Just not actually, the speed does not look as quick as she seemed to be slowing down on the last few controls, even just going through the run through.
There's our Lithuanian runner, Mazurine Kutkatvi. And coming through number 5, the first of the Spanish runners, Violeta Feliciano San Juan, has finished. So all these earlier runners coming in now. Number 7, looking in good shape. And going through, we have the Austrian number 18 going through in our first pass. Ursula Kadan has gone through very confidently. And just having a look around us there as number 7 comes into the arena. Jackets are being put on in the arena, and she's finishing very strongly. Let's see how her time comes through.
Yeah, she will definitely make the time for the also Peron, and
13.3 seconds in the lead. That's pretty good lead, but as we can see, the times are coming down quite quickly. Third place runner now is nearly a minute behind here, as the runner from Portugal finishes, Mariana Moreira as well. And the athletes have to make sure they get their download properly, make sure that they've got all the controls properly so they're not disqualified. before they go through, take their GPS out. All the athletes here are wearing GPS trackers, so we know where they've gone, so we can see what mistakes they've made, so they can do some analysis afterwards as well.
Giorgio of Hungary at the bottom of the screen in the red shirt.
She's gone through that with the quickest time so far, as Isia Basset from France takes the quickest time at the first checkpoint that we have. But currently it is Laura Robson who has the quickest time to control number 8, as Ursula Kadan comes in third place, just 11 seconds down.
The runners passing each other. 21 is Isia Basset from France. So making headway now, almost halfway through. 45 runners in all to set out. And coming in, the French runner number 8, Lia Verchellotti, has completed the course. '19 is Giorgio of Hungary. He has 3.5 seconds, 0.5 seconds, 3.5 there ahead of Robertson.
Taking the new lead, it's pretty good. And number 19, Fanny Giorgio, checking her control descriptions to make sure she gets the right code of the control, make sure she knows exactly what she's looking for when you get into the control circle. Is it one side of a fence or the other? Is it on a hedge? Is it on a wall?
Basset has gone through the arena. Is halfway through. Here are the triple choices this time. 3 runners together. Almost identical choices.
Basset about 12 seconds in the lead coming through this run-in. And this is a time when we can see which route choices are paying off more.
21 is Basset, the French woman. The crowd gathering at that point. A lot more people there than there were at the start of the race.
They managed to figure out who's going where, as we see some British supports, and lots of people. I think they've been giving out lots of Swedish flags, so lots of support from Sweden. Lots of people waving Swedish flags, even if they're not Swedish. It's all good. As we follow Basset again. Very compact. As we have another finisher from Ukraine.
Good strong finish there.
It's Alona Sukraseva.
The 9th starter. Basset has moved into the fastest position at control 8.
Ahead of Meija Rantanen from Finland. Staying strong going up the hills here. As we said, most athletes knew that there were going to be hills in this World Championships in Strömstad. They will have prepared very, very well for it.
Denisa Kozova, head down. That is one of the steeper rises, one of the longer rises in this race. 3.6 kilometers in all, 80 meters of a climb overall.
As back in the arena, we see Imogen Scott finish in 7th position from New Zealand.
Czech Republic runner Indrakova goes through, and they're an indication of how runners can catch up. Number 24 and number 13. Number 24 is Carlotta Scali from Italy.
Denisa Kozova, this is the last passage towards the last control before heading into the arena. She's going to take a right turn here and into the arena where an expectant crowd is waiting. But seems to have... she punched spectator control and not the actual control, so thankfully realised that. But I think she'll still have enough time in the bank to go into first place coming over this, but maybe that just shows the concentration, I think, that you can make those type of very easy mistakes right at the end. But she's powering past us into the finish line.
And over the line.
Just under 17 minutes. That time's going to come down a lot. So expected winning times today are about 14 minutes.
Well, that's it. Over the piece, 3 minutes is a huge amount of time to eat into. It just shows you the difference between the elite athletes and the good athletes.
This is Carlotta Scale taking the bridge with ease.
Interesting how
Big
many
steps
are
up.
looking at the map, though, in the 10 strides just before the bridge to make sure they know where they're going when they take off it.
And especially because you can't see the other side of the bridge, you need to have a good picture in your mind of where you're going to go next.
It's not so bad on the second bridge or the second passage coming into the final bridge, because it's then a straight run into the stadium.
This is Sarah Hagstrom and the final bit to the finish. She's asking people to move out the way so she can have a clear line through.
Always a temptation for spectators to be moving in closer. So she's over 16 minutes already.
She looks like she's going to take a northern route into control number 19, which is amongst some trees and amongst some bushes, dodging a few parked cars.
Doesn't look exactly comfortable to me. I think she's had a difficult period in the race there, but we'll follow her in now and see how.
She's just checking very, very carefully coming into this control, probably checking her way out, which I think some of the better runners would have already had in their heads. They wouldn't need to look at the map that as much, maybe a little bit, but not as much as she comes through. But she looks like she's hurting now as she comes into the last few stages of the race.
And this is all about a learning curve, really, for her, isn't it? This level of competition, her first time at this level.
Yep, and she definitely makes sure she's going to punch the finish control and not the spectator control. She's definitely done that right. But it's her first senior year. Some people have promised her some big things. Maybe that was too much at the moment, as she's going to come into probably second place. But the crowd are waving their flags here. There's a great reception for the first Swedish runner to complete a race in the World Championships. And you can tell she put a lot into that. But maybe just didn't quite have the speed. But she will definitely learn from this. It's her first race. She'll know, and there's been a lot of pressure on her. The next World Championships, there'll probably be less pressure. She'll know more how to deal with it. You may have done junior World Champs races and other things before, but nothing, I imagine, is quite the same as running in the World Championships at your home event.
Just an indication there of the pressure and the stress and the discomfort at the end. I'm sure that everyone will be looking after her now as she goes in to check in.
But this is someone who could potentially be very strong. It's Rahel Friedrich, who was 7th at the World Championships last year, running for Switzerland.
She's going well. Good rhythm. Coming round past the harbour side here.
We'll catch a look on her time as she comes through these controls. I think that was the last control that she punched. And there we go. That looks more like the spectator control.
And again, the hesitation.
Quite confused as to where exactly she needs to go now, but you can see her coming up over the bridge now.
Coming off the wooden bridge onto the hard tarmac Adam. There she goes through. Friedrich.
Marianne Anderson, very experienced runner.
And we're through the halfway mark now of runners on the course. And they will begin to bunch up as the faster runners come through. And the the completion duration drops from 17 minutes to somewhere nearer 14.
We have another split time from one of the earlier controls. Marika Taini from Finland has gone through in the new fastest time, as we have a split from Lena Strand, another Swedish runner coming through. She's gone into 7th, but it's only 4 seconds in it at that early stage. as a runner from Estonia finishes.
Kaziko, and there's standing at control 8, so a significant difference between them there. Quite a significant gap, 7 seconds between the first and the second.
The experience of Anderson looks like it's definitely showing through. She's gone through the quickest so far. And this might be where she caught up a lot of time. Basse, the top 2 runners so far, Basse looked to be in the lead, both of them taking the route around the top. Now in the cities, it's difficult to, sometimes the GPS goes a bit wrong and we get lost in the buildings. That's why they look like they're cutting through buildings, but actually there's not too much in it. They've not gone wrong, it's just the GPS is a bit weird. So it's difficult to see. They've been taking fairly similar route choices, but this one was definitely different. Anderson definitely getting a gap on that one, and Basse trying to take maybe a shorter route, but coming up with some problems there.
The GPS was telling us she swam up the river at one point there, but I don't think that's quite the case. Number 20 is Merja Rantanen from Finland. And going through as number 30, going through Marika Tieni, also from Finland, has gone through the stadium as number 20. Rantanen comes down the harbour front.
Merja Rantanen into the finish.
She
has 3 walk relay golds. A great all-rounder here. Giving it some power as she comes into the finish.
And throwing her arm forward there. Interesting that she was trying to break the mark as early as possible. And there, the huge physical commitment of all these women as they go round.
And this is Basse, who we saw being very quick at the beginning part of the courses. She was leading as she was coming through a couple of the splits. She's got the last couple of controls to go before heading into the arena.
Significantly, the crowd's building up towards the end of the race, and the fastest runners are gathering towards the final closure of the 20 control marks.
These runners know that there is nowhere to hide. They are being watched throughout the whole of this course, whether it's by GPS, by us, or by the spectators there.
There's the time. Rantanen, first place at the finish, 18 seconds advantage.
It's going to be very close as Basse only has 3 seconds to catch up on that lead of Rantanen. Looks like she's going to be heading into second place.
And there she crosses the line to take her 5 seconds. Basse 5 seconds behind Rantanen in first place. And another runner now heading her way. They're coming in thick and fast now as they bunch up. And so far the bridge isn't causing any problems on the closure, but
no, that was a big step down off the top one. She looks like she's got her eyes on the prize and is looking to come into the new fastest time.
And that's certainly the most impressive finish so far. Ida Mari Nice Björgul from Norway.
She was definitely able to carry the speed off of the bridge.
And that could be enough to make a difference. Number 34, we're well down the list now. Anastasia Denisova,
who's just clocked the new fastest time at our control number 3, with Alice Leak coming in. She's just gone through control number 3. Alice Leak of Great Britain, 10 seconds behind that lead of Anastasia Denisova of Belarus.
22nd in last year's competition, and we're into the top 10 now of the fastest. Alice Leak was 10th fastest in the qualifying event in the morning. So we're reaching the business end of the women's competition at the moment.
Yep, Alice qualified 4th in her heat, but the runners are, all the 4th placed runners are put off together in a random order. So it's going to be interesting now. We'll start to see some very, very fast times, and the fastest times, the splits will be coming down very, very quickly.
Number 34 is Denisova from Bulgaria. She goes through the arena there, heading for the second bridge. And not looking at the map too much, so she's obviously confident of where she's going. Quick look at the top, and then she takes the left-hand route.
But it's good news for Sweden, as the split that Anastasia Denisova is trying to beat to the next control, the fastest split of that, is not good news for Sweden, sorry, good news for Switzerland. Elena Roos is the current leader to that point.
Crowd, the sense of expectation building up, waiting to see the more powerful runners, the faster runners anyway. Maja Alm, last year's champion. Of course, she may very well be one of the runners who held something back. She finished in 9th overall this morning. And then we have the 2nd and 3rd from last year, Volyinska and Vinogradova in front of her.
So at this control, it's Belarus, Switzerland, and then Sweden with Lina Strand in 3rd place. Definitely bigger gaps now as Alice Leek comes through the run-in. Alice has been doing a lot of fell running this year, building up her speed. I know her, she's in my club at home, and it's been really, really great to see her qualify in 4th place, and hopefully she can put out a really, really great performance. I know her strength is up significantly and her speed is up significantly from last year.
Well, I think that's reflected in her time. She was 22nd overall last year at Inverness and Air and Forest, and she was the 10th fastest this morning. So here's Alm for the first time. We're picking up the champion from Denmark.
And certainly one of the favourites for this race.
Always looks so comfortable.
She was in 3rd place going through the first split, but there's a lot that has changed between the first split that we've been given and the point of people coming into the arena.
Hornik of Poland, who was the 20th fastest, has come home
into 2nd place.
A good finish, and here's the champion.
And you can see her swipe her right arm across the top. Very close to the control box, making sure she's made contact and actually punched the
skipping,
split.
absolutely skipping through these steps, light on her feet. Absolutely single-minded heading.
Maya Alm's been one of those people putting extra hill reps into her training to prepare for this race. She's done 2 weeks of intensive training in France to prepare for the whole World Cup series, and let's hope that's paying off as she takes the bridge very strongly, very smoothly through that. Taking a look at the map, she probably has already been thinking about the changeover for a couple of controls as she passes through the arena and gets a really huge round of applause.
Great rhythm. Tackles the 2nd bridge now. Shorter stride going up the bridge. Interestingly, here the comparison between herself and Roos. The choices they were making.
Not too many decisions, but it's all about the speed, particularly through this. And you can see Maya Alm just had so much more speed. Just raw speed going through those 2 ones, and the gap is getting bigger and bigger.
Their number 26 goes past us quite comfortably. Natasha Key from Australia. First time we've seen her. And here, number 27.
Mariana Andersen of Norway, who's had many medals from WOC, but no individual gold yet. Doesn't look like this is going to be her day. She was leading at some point earlier in, but now it goes Norway 1-2 with 10 seconds between the first 2 fastest.
So far, I suspect that isn't going to last too long, because out on the course the pace is hotting up, and you see there how number 28 has gone past 38, or caught up anyway. 38 is Dvoryanskaya from Russia, who was the 8th fastest finisher in the morning.
Dvoryanskaya is probably going through the first loop. There she is in the blue Russian kit, but in front of her is Rahel Friedrich coming into the finish run-in, running for the quick new fastest time. It looks like she's going to make it. A great run there from Rahel Friedrich.
Well, there the 2 Norwegians nudged back already. Their lead didn't last long.
But I think more Swiss hopes will be resting on the 2nd last starter, Judith Wieder, who's surely one of the people. She ran so well this morning. She was a minute up on her other rivals and is a well-placed bet for the gold today. And the 3rd Norwegian runner?
Number 29 is Silja Ekrol Jaren.
She was 8th at last year's World Championships in Scotland, carrying good speed through these final few controls into the finish.
quite a significant difference in the stride pattern in some of the women's style of running, to some more suited to the more level ground, or the better hill runners too will take the inclines at a much faster and shorter speed. And good finish here.
Running through these kind of things, you don't have to worry about branches and any sort of undergrowth. So it is a speed and efficient running. But it's one that's going to be quick. As we go into Norway 2, 3, 4, 10 seconds separating all three of them.
Give us a sense of what that feels like, Kat.
Oh, I mean, my mum says if you don't feel sick at the end of a race, you haven't tried hard enough.
Yeah.
Quite brutally, one might say. But the
lungs must be absolutely ripping,
bursting, and they know that they've given absolutely everything to that race. So
here we have the standings at the finish at the moment. Friedrich in the lead from Switzerland, and then 3 Norwegians within 10-20 seconds of that, and then the gap widened significantly to Hornick in 5th place, the Polish woman on 30 seconds or thereabouts off the pace. But I think most of these names will now slip down the finishing running order. As the Finnish runner comes in, number 30. And that's Marika Tieni, also feeling the full force of the course. Might not be the most demanding course ever, but it still drains the legs and the lungs. And number 40, the first time we've seen Galina Vinogradova from Russia, 3rd last year at the championships in Scotland. This time
she's a very, very strong sprint runner, particularly.
Alm has taken the lead at control 8. And there you see Leek, the British runner, in 2nd place, but 24 seconds almost adrift at that control.
Yeah, it's in 5th. It's missing a couple of the runners as Vinogradova also goes down into the joint time with Alice Leek there. But there's still lots of the course to run. We talk about there being small margins, but you can make time up. As we look at some of the splits, Dvorianskaya choosing a very different route to many of the others to control number 2. And Alm actually, well, she goes the high up, but she gets that coming down the hill towards number 2. She got the speed there, but possibly not the best choice actually to control number 2. Probably lost a lot of time there.
She's such an accomplished runner that she could make up that. We saw Lina Strand of Sweden coming home while we were having a look at that.
She came into 6th place, 22 seconds down on the lead. And out in the town, we have a new fastest time at our first radio control. Judith Vida going through 3 seconds ahead of Anastasia Denisova, who we now see coming into the finish, possibly going to take the new fastest time.
Birag Weiler of Hungary, and there's number 34, Denisova.
So she's caught up 2 whole minutes there on Weiler.
In the same way, it's a huge lift for the second runner catching up, but it must be a huge psychological blow for somebody who's 3-4 minutes behind you starting, just going past you. That must be a crippling blow further out in the course.
And especially if you don't manage to hang on to them when they pass you.
And the gap opens again.
It can be useful for some people though. They might gain some extra motivation from that and try to hang on to the runner who's in front of them. Probably less effective in these kind of urban sprint things, but she looks like she's going to come in very, very strongly, punching the last control with ease, making sure she doesn't mistake it for the spectator control. And looks like she's going to come in to take a new fastest time.
Denisova finishing not that desperately strongly, but she has behind her, she's got Weiler coming in, the Hungarian runner, and then another runner on the first pass, I suspect, and just not the huge force of finish they've left.
Yeah, Judith Vida coming through the run through now. She looks like she had the quickest time to the first part of the course, And I can just check her time going through the run through. She's in 3rd place on this run through, behind Anastasia Denisova, who's had a overwhelming time, and behind Maya Alm, who we can now see coming through to some of the later controls. She looks like she's about to finish.
The magnificent Alm, who dominated the competition in Scotland last year and was the undoubted star of the show.
Now she's going to cross over the river. There's a bit of route choice on this one to control number 18. After this one, she'll only have 2 more before she comes into the finish.
We reckon she is ahead. So there you see the time, 13 minutes. So we're expecting her to finish in 14 or thereabouts. She's going well now as she comes up this incline.
Yeah, Maya Alm's taken a big lead out of Denisova, 33 seconds coming into there, so we expect her time to be significantly in the lead as she comes through. Judith Vida into 3rd, but that time difference only at control number 8 could easily be made up.
Now, from memory, I think Vida last year was suffering from a back injury, which limited her contribution to the competition in Scotland, but she was certainly tipped to be one of the favourites here and finished 2nd this morning. But here's Maya Alm, who won't give up her title easily, skipping through, avoiding a later runner coming past her there. Just seems to be striding a longer stride now that she feels the end of the course coming. Number 43 there, Sari Antonen from Finland.
She's about to come through on the spectator loop and has already been caught by Cecilia Freeberg-Klusner. We've had her the last starter through the spectator control at the moment, but this is Maya Alm, possibly coming to take a new title. We'll see if her time can be challenged later, but it's certainly going to be a new fastest time as she powers into the finish. Oh, great run in there. And 42.7 seconds. There are a lot of people who can fill that in, but no, we'll have to wait and see if anyone's going to challenge that time.
Fantastic last 800 metres there. You could see from the point she left the last control, she was with but one thing in mind. And actually, she doesn't look that distressed, does she? She certainly left everything on the course. But compared to some of the runners, she's recovering rather better. And this is the way herself and Vida are comparing.
Very similar, but Vida just being a bit quicker through some of these controls. Alm maybe seeming to catch them up, and it does seem like the northern route is quicker. Yes, Alm has caught up some of the time that she perhaps lost and is looking quicker through the first part of the course. So just going on that southern route for Vida has lost her some time. Alm again slightly ahead into control number 8, which is our TV control, and again taking similar routes into 9. I think that seems to be the quickest one. But
it opened out. So here we have it at control 8. Alm is in the lead. Denisova is 3 seconds behind, and then Vida 4.5 seconds. And Elena Roos, the 2 Swiss runners, quite a significant gap between them at that control 8 as we were looking at that. Alice Leake of Great Britain has come in, and they're running down the running order. You see the difference there in the time. Some runners 44, 46 seconds behind.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens at the finish now, because Denisova's time was completely smashed by Maya Alm, and we just want to see what the other athletes can do. Athletes such as Galina Vinogradova, a sprint specialist, and she's going to come in, got a couple of controls now before the finish.
3rd last year. She will not be too far away from the money, if I can put it that way.
Oh, but that looks like a mistake that's going to cost her some time. She checks her map again to find out what was going on. She is an experienced athlete, so that mistake is...
Huge groan in the arena roundabout us there when she took that wrong decision. Just a split second, but it's enough because she had to regroup, get back to the map. Got that control, and then she's off again. Can't let that prey on her mind because the finish approaches.
But still a very, very strong athlete. She's got 2 bronze medals, both in the sprint and the sprint relay from last year. So hopefully her form has continued. Looks to be fairly strong. Not quite as diminutive as some of the figures we've seen who might possibly suit the sprinter discipline slightly more. But there we can see the little mistake as she heads through, just not quite going far enough and seeing a little turn off to the left and initially thinking that was it and then realising she'd come to a dead end. We'll see if her time becomes close to any of the others and whether that little mistake would have cost her anything. But she may not have been able to match the time of Maya Alm at all.
Here she comes. She'll be sensing the finish. Just that little hesitation again. It's all adding up, piling up against that. The clock is unforgiving at this point in the race, but she's opening up now, gaining momentum on the downhill slope towards the finish. And there the Ukrainian runner, followed by number 38, Dvoryanskaya from Russia. And here now is the last for the finish for Vinogradova. She's at 15.5 minutes.
And we've had a split time of Sari Antonen, who won one of her heats. She's in 44th place. I think it's just someone who's gone out far too hard on the qualification and not being able to carry it through into the final.
Well, Vinogradova goes into 3rd place there, and just looking at one of the runners there, just having a look at where it all went wrong, I suspect.
This is Sari Antonen. Goodness me.
Oh.
What happened there? That's why she's in 44th place. Went up to the top, and maybe she left her EMIT card at number 1. Maybe she dropped it.
Something must have happened.
She went all the way back there. Something drastic must have happened. We will keep going and see what we can find when we find it. But
Olsen,
the last of the Swedish hopes. 3 Swedish runners running today.
She's going well at this stage. Again, the time is beginning to run. And Maya Alm's time is looking better and better all the time. Down the finishing blast now. Big long stride. Eat up the ground. Number 44 now is Vidar.
Looking more solid as she comes down and is
chased by Vika, number 16th last year, the Polish runner.
She's caught up 2 minutes on the Polish runner. Would have given Judith Vida a lot of confidence as she heads across the river.
There's not much between them at this stage.
And the Swedish runner comes into the finish. We get a big cheer from the crowd. We'll find her final time.
Polish runner, number 42, Vika, catching Vidar. There's going to be an interesting run-in by the time they reach the bridge, because that's not that far away. They're both heading up the pavement, which is the route Alma took rather than go up the road.
But it looks like time is running out for Judith Vida. She's got just under 40 seconds now to get into the finish, and has got another couple of controls to go to. Looks like Alm was just too good, and it's looking like more likely by the second that she's going to retain her title. Just checking a couple of the control descriptions, the exact detail of the map to make sure she gets her entrance and her exit of the control exactly right. Dodging other people and back out exactly the way she came for one last control.
Well, she's running out of time. She's running out of time, I suspect, but she's going to give it everything.
She can probably still edge 2nd place if she makes a good run in time, but it's already too late for the time of Maya Alm. So there doesn't really look like there's anyone who's going to be able to challenge the Danish runner.
And here's Vidar. Blasting in now over the bridge. She's got the finish line in her sights, but you see there the time, 19 seconds beyond Alm, 20 seconds now. And behind her, number 42, Vika, coming in, 14:53. 25 seconds behind Alm.
Oh, she's pleased with that. She's pleased to get probably what will be a silver medal. Alm is so difficult to catch, but she looks like she had a good time out of there. She's tired, but she is happy, and a big smile for Maya Alm. not Maya Alm, for Judith Vida, who
Yeah.
has been first in both races this year. Let's have a look at some of their splits to find out why Alm just was so quick. Very, very quick into and out of number 10. Just seeming to flow better, having that better speed through all the. There's a lot of changes of pace here and a lot of decisions to make. There's not much time in between any of them, as we'll probably see. But Alm just making the decisions quicker, just being smoother throughout the whole thing. There she's gone through the control quite nicely, and it's quicker going down. Her lead is growing each time, as you can see that. Doesn't look to me too much difference going each side of the river on the bridges towards number 18. But Alm just making the decisions faster. And that is what seems to have got her through, just a speed. And then we have Maya Alm, the world champion, confirmed as the world champion. No one else is going to catch her. Let's hear a bit of what she says.
And here's number 43 and number 45, the last runner, or the fastest runner from the morning. Kleisner is number 45.
Caught up those 2 minutes on the mistake from Antonen that we saw her go almost all the way to number 2 and then back to control number 1 again. We don't really know what's happened there.
They're together. They'll be together coming into the arena, and well, we'll find out eventually what went wrong, but it was a huge mistake. And Kleisner has overtaken Antonen there, just finishing just that bit more strongly as they head for the line. It'll be an interesting chase coming across the bridge and then heading for the line. 45 is Kleisner.
But 16 seconds puts her down far too much at the 16 minutes, 40 seconds is not quick enough to challenge the top 10 or the top 15 here.
And there they cross the line together.
But she can hear as she crosses the line that her compatriot Maya Alm has retained her world title.
And to be honest, Catherine, it looked so easy, didn't it? The way she controlled the course and controlled everything round about it. Here, confirmation of the finishing times. Alm in first place, 14 minutes 27.9, followed by Vida, 25.7 seconds behind that, and then Anastasia Denisova from Bulgaria, 43 seconds nearly behind, and Vinogradova. Then we see how the time, the top 3 miles ahead there, really. They dominated the race from start to finish.
For a sprint, those margins are quite huge, to be honest. 25-second lead, that is pretty extraordinary and absolutely dominating stuff from Alm. Just creating the smoothness and the speed through those controls is very impressive. Now as we get further down, we can see some shorter splits, a couple of people in joint positions, but the top 3 has some dominating positions. The 22nd for Alice, that's the same as last year, I think. Maybe be slightly disappointed with that, probably would have hoped to have bettered her performance this year. I know she's
it's exactly the same as last year.
Yeah, she seems to have been a lot stronger this year, but it all comes down to what happens out there, and just some of the route choices we've seen just been slightly quicker than one another, but overall it's been down to making quick decisions, and that's what Alm did very well.
Well, not even time to take breath, because now we head straight into the sprint for men and the 45 starters in that competition. And this the course map for the men. They have 4.1 kilometres this time, 22 controls, and again round about 14 minutes we expect as they go through the course.
And it starts off very, very similarly to the women's course. We have that same tricky number 2, followed by a few shorter controls. I think it's identical to the women's course as we get to the run-through. So a lot of very quick decisions. As the run-throughs, they'll have to turn them up over, get a new map, and we'll see the TV split at control number 8 where people run through to the flower bed. There are already a lot of spectators there. Then 9 can offer a few challenges. There have been a few, we saw the women take a few different route choices to there. Then over the river to the other side. This is where I think it could get slightly trickier for the men. There are a few controls close together. 10, 11, 12, going back on yourself round to 12 could be quite interesting. Then another long one which offers more route choice. Finally, there are a few slightly trickier controls. Do you go left or right? It's going to be seconds between it, but those seconds could make all the difference. And finally, the final few controls back towards towards the finish arena and the run-in, going over that bridge and through the finish line.
So there are runners from 22 different nations in the men's event, 45 starters from the morning's qualifying competition. And there the breeze getting up ever so slightly in the afternoon. And this is the start list. No great surprises really in terms of the overall form, although when we look at a runner like Martin Hubman, who was second last year, starting at 1:31. We'll just come to his name just there. Interesting that he's recovering from a car crash. Do you think he have enough to see himself through? The third runner from last year, Lysel from Sweden, is bound to be in amongst the mix. And then when we come to the fastest runners here at the tail end of the order, we've got class from Hubman forwards here, Catherine.
Yeah, I mean, it's so open. We really have no idea what's going to happen with this. And there are many people, there's a lot of Swedes, particularly strong Swedes. I think we want to look out for Jonas Leandersson, Martin Regbon, Jukka Lysel as well. But strong showing from Tua Lassen winning his heat. And, you never want to count out the Swiss here. Daniel Hubman, Martin Kiberts as well, they're going to be incredibly strong. Here we see control number 2 where there were lots of different route choices again. Alm, interestingly, took the green route, which I didn't think was necessarily going to be the quickest as you go much higher up the contours through what looks like it could be a car park at the top there. But it seemed to have paid off for her. You've got to maybe avoid some of the tricky bare rock here, which could slow people down as you maybe be less confident running through it. Another of the route choice controls is this 1 to 10. There's a few different options for going up the hill into the complex of buildings there, but not too much in between it. Seems like the green route is the quickest, even though you might be persuaded to go across the westernmost bridge that looks like you're crossing the river at its narrowest point.
Just a slight difference in the climb. There's 100 metres of climbing for the men, 80 metres for the women. But the men are going to be running so much faster, and we've got the defending champion here again, Leandersson. So the possibility of 2 champions retaining their titles.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, Leandersson will have a lot of pressure on him, as will all the Swedish runners who are running here today, but they will definitely have the crowd support. And I think the Swedes have better hopes from the men's side of things in this sprint race particularly. And I know that people are going to be very excited. Like, we can see everyone from where we are watching the big screen. They'll be seeing the pictures that you're seeing of places around this beautiful town.
The future champions, no doubt.
Some support for Norway, who did pretty well in the women's race. All of their runners performed fairly well, and now we can see what it's like to be out there on the terrain. You can see the hills, a mixture of the grass and cutting through these narrow paths. Some route choices might be taken to avoid more or less steps, playing to the athlete's strengths. But as we see, this is one of the legs where we could have some good route choices, and there is the option.
That's one way to do it.
That fence is not marked as a crossable, so that's definitely an option. If you think that that's going to be the best choice, it may be a straighter one. Dodging all the street furniture as well, dodging the cars. There shouldn't be too many cars out there, but there definitely will be some pedestrians. A lot of spectators out. And now, this is like the 20% of the course that's not on the hard surface, perhaps. Running down
and that part of the course won't be affected, hopefully, I keep my fingers crossed. It's still dry, so they'll be able to make good pace down that part. But if it gets slippy at any point,
it could get tricky, particularly on the rock, particularly on the hard surfaces. Going around corners, going down steep slopes. We've been to check out the wooden bridges in the arena earlier. That we think they could become pretty treacherous. But it's corners like this, especially ones where you're coming at speed, where if it starts to rain, it could be tricky. But we look just about okay for the moment. Fingers crossed we get nothing bad.
So the runners are underway. We have number 105 at the start now. He's the 5th to go, Leon Russell Keeley from Australia. So we have 4 runners on the course ahead of him.
And a number of Australians have made their way into this sprint final. It's Keeley's first senior race, first taste of what it's like to run at a World Championships.
Off he goes with that relatively straightforward start, which we saw in the women's event. The Karlek Sudan, east of the city, is where they're starting from, on the Islet of Love.
And I think the wind has driven some people away from that play area now.
Was picked up in the stadium round about us in the arena here. The jackets are on, the flags are whipping just a bit. The next runner will be Alexei Niemi, Finnish runner. Another junior emerging through the ranks.
But some strong results at junior level, so this is probably his first senior competition, hoping to transfer some of his junior success through to senior position, but it is a big step up. And you're against runners who have a lot more experience.
Well, particularly the last end there, the first runner through the arena is the first runner, Olenik from Poland, has gone through.
Ooh.
Just a lapse in concentration there.
Trying to take that corner too sharply and trying to dodge a car as well. Here's some early route choices that we have.
I think that's the first time we've seen that one.
Going up that steep slope, but taking a bit of a roundabout route into the actual control itself. But that seems to have paid off for him, as he's the fastest out of control, number 2.
Interesting choice. Bartkevičius from Lithuania, following the river all the way along for the first blast. And here we have Kenny Kivikas from Estonia, which is the venue for next year's World Championships. This year's Nokian Tires World Championship taking place in Strömstad in Sweden. The first part of it anyway, the first day's competition today. And we'll move to the other venues for other races later in the week. Sprint relays tomorrow. And we'll be seeing some of these runners, particularly the faster ones towards the end. Robert Merl from Austria is next off.
He may well be one of the early starters that can make a mark quite confidently at the beginning of this race. He has the potential to do better. As you can see, 15th and 11th in a couple of the recent sprints at World Championships levels.
His
so
world ranking's a lot better than his position reflected in his start time today. He's the 8th runner to go off the 45. Second runner through the arena is 103, so he's made up time. Bernaciak from Poland.
Yep, he's about 2 seconds ahead of Olli-Pekka Koistinen from Finland, who's also gone through the arena. This is the Finnish runner.
Koistinen. Again, this easy style is economical and efficient. It has to be on the hard roads.
And it is a sprint, we count it as a sprint, but talking to lots of people who don't know the sport and we say our sprint distances are 4 kilometres, it's going to take them 13, 14 minutes to do. That's still a considerable amount of time. And they've got to make sure that they pace themselves around the whole course, not going too quickly. As one of the spectators, make sure he gets out of the way for the fast running pole into the new fastest time at control number 8.
He's going well, and you can see there how people have wrapped up in the cold. It's not exactly cold, but it's not as warm as it was.
Now we're still in t-shirts. We're tough, although we have got our tent as shelter. But a lot of these spectators would have been out running in the ROC race in between the qualifier and the sprint, so they'll know exactly what it's like to be out there. Many of them will have had maps, and they'll know what the course is like to see, so they can just check and watch for the runners coming through.
Well, the rain was forecast for round about 5 o'clock local time, which it's coming up to round about now. And if it's going to come, it's looking ominous, but we'll hope that the runners will manage to get round without having to deal with that.
Kevicius, who we saw take that southern route to control number 2, and it's still paid off for him, or he has the speed to carry it through, as that puts him into fastest place so far.
First Australian, Keeley, has gone through the arena, negotiating the bridges safely.
Currently roughly about 4th place, going through that split time through the arena.
Again, Bart Kevicius managing to maintain his advantage there.
All of them choosing to go the same way, except Bart Kevicius having a better maybe flow through control number 7. Not many runners have chosen to go that way, but Koistinen's taken a different route back via the spectator control into number 8. But Bart Kevicius definitely looking the stronger of all of those 3 athletes.
Nicholas Simonin of Ireland is next off the line as the Finnish runner number 6, Niemi, goes through.
It's great to have an Irish runner in the final. I'm sure he'll have a lot of support from home.
Somebody's been caught on the phone.
As we see Niemi of Finland going up the steps, he's just come through the arena in 2nd fastest time. So we'll see if he can maintain that time up the steps, and having taken a good map changeover, turning over his map to go into the next split, which we will see very shortly. So we have a new leader coming through the run through now, 1:07, the minute man behind Niemi, going through in the new fastest time of 4 minutes and 31 seconds.
Their confirmation of the times at control 8. 2.8 seconds the difference between first and second. And that corner, potential there to just overshoot. And the barrier in the way, of course, needing readjustment then to come back round it.
Niemi running strongly in his first World Championships.
There, Vestergaard of Norway.
He might be one of those runners who's maybe saved himself a bit in the qualification. He was 6th at the European Championships in the sprint, so there definitely is that speed in him from this year.
Merle has gone through the arena, the Austrian.
Taking the 3rd fastest time, but we'll see what Vestergaard can do.
It certainly looks like he's going well. You can tell from the pace of the camera, keeping up with him, just how he's covering the ground. Downhill momentum now towards the arena.
Probably already thinking about his map change, changing it over. As he starts to enter the arena, he can think about where exactly he's got to go after navigating these 2 bridges. But we haven't seen any problems on them so far. Everyone looks pretty easy going down there and being able to get some good speed off it as he comes through the passage into the arena, getting some good support.
Up
Lots of
over
Norwegian flags.
the second bridge. The big confident stride helping his passage.
Taking the downhill routes, not going straight up the steps and going more closer to the spectator control that we just saw. There's definitely a route choice coming out of this arena, and that's could be interesting. Now, this is where the choice to stay low against the river seems to have paid off for a few of the runners here. Both Resegård and Bartkevius have done that, and they seem to be going pretty well.
There are always some micro route choices between the different right route choices.
Not much in it by the time they reached the other decision they made. All bunched up. Here's Vestergaard again.
And very close, equal to the 0.1 of a second, to the 10th of a second. Those are the margins we're talking about in sprint orienteering. It goes completely down to the line, but is in joint first place at this radio split.
Andrea Seppi, the Italian, at 1:10, has gone through the arena. Looked quite comfortable. Just a buzz around the stadium as they're waiting for the top runners to come. 1:16, Timo Sild, Estonian, waiting patiently.
He's got his control descriptions in his right hand. He already knows what the codes are, probably to the first couple of controls, so he doesn't even have to think about that as he goes through and as he picks up his map. He already knows what type of features they're on, doesn't need to think about that either. Can get as much information into his mind in as short a time as possible so he can make those decisions. And he knows he's just got to head past some of these climbing equipments to a hedge to get the first control. And then a bit trickier as you head into the second one, a bit more of a route choice that has proved decisive for some people, I think. But very smoothly through there. And choosing to go close to the steps.
So how many of these runners would translate the skills of round about the town and the pace of the sprint into the middle distance and the longer distance later in the week?
It seems that, I mean, there's the same basic skills we've got, the same basic navigation skills, the same ability to make decisions quickly, but the actual navigation, because there are buildings in the way, you can argue that the navigation is easier because there are fewer routes you can take, but you need to make those decisions quicker. So I think it's the different skills that people have make people better sprinters or long distance runners. And you're seeing people, I mean, especially with the World Championships going to change, so we have the sprint distances separated from the forest distances, people are going to start to specialize more and focus on one particular type of terrain.
The Polish runner Olenik has finished the course. He was the first starter, and here's the second starter now coming in, Koistinen. He's finishing well. Good support for him as he blasts past us towards the finish. He's created a good gap. That time will come rolling downwards as the faster runners go through. Hungarian runner Bako has gone through past him. And again, Popov favouring the river route there.
He probably just has less speed going through these shorter controls as well. That's when your decision-making skills, even though the controls are easy because they come at you at such high frequency, then you really need to be at the top of your game and have complete concentration going through here. As we catch up with Artem Popov as he makes his way into the arena.
Heading not far from having half the runners started now. This is obviously the 14th starter, Popov, and then 14 of 45. So another hour on the course, probably nearly.
Making sure he takes the right fork to go through and out of the arena. The runners will come back over the bridge and into the left-hand side as they head into the final finishing stretch, and the finish line, the final goal of all of these runners here.
Up and over. Again, the intensity of the concentration required to see him safely on to the next stage.
Just checking his map very carefully as he runs along the flat, taking that opportunity to look at it, taking pause as he runs up the steps and then back onto the map as he goes along the flat.
Polish runner Bernaciak, Alexander Bernaciak, who was third away. He's a good 50 seconds behind, so he's maintained the minute between himself and the previous starter. This is the Popov again. So at control number 8, just some of the times being adjusted there as the runners go through. Kivikas is the fastest at control 8. And here, there's that barrier. And that's perfectly okay to come under the barrier like that.
Oh yeah, it's not marked. It probably won't even be marked on the map. But if it's marked as a crossable fence, then you can cross it. Only thick black lines that you need to be careful of not crossing. Anything of the olive green colour that denotes normally gardens, things like that, or the solid black of walls and fences and of course buildings that you really can't cross. As he makes, you can even see some of the yellow and black tapes just denoting that you can't cross these hedges here. Just reinforcing the fact, even though the runners should know just from looking at the map that they're not allowed to cross them.
Just a hint there that there might have been a spot of rain or two on some of our camera lenses as the parts of the course further out are more exposed perhaps than within the town, but no evidence of umbrellas or anything yet.
And Niemi challenging for the new fastest time. Looks like he's going to take it from his Finnish teammate Koistinen.
He's finishing well. He looks the part. We'll hear a lot more about him, I suspect, because he's got himself 15.5, 15.33. That's a good effort from him, starting from such a low point.
And the times are falling very, very, very quickly now. We have some big gaps right at the tail end of the runners, and they should be falling very quickly as we get closer to the estimated winning time.
Kivikas, the Estonian, wanting to lay down a marker this year and for next year's championship in front of his own crowd.
He was the winner, the fastest man going through at control number 8, our TV control, hoping he can hang on to his lead and maintain his quick position as he comes into the arena. Making sure not to punch the spectator control that was just to his right, running slightly further around the corner and to his left to get the final control before heading back up over this bridge.
Well, the clock's just going to beat him, I'm afraid, because he's still got about less than 100 metres to go now, but he's finishing well.
Lost some of the time that he had up again at the radio control, at the TV control, to split the fins.
Well, you can always tell when they reach for the map like that. It's like a golfer reaching for the tee when he's hit a good one. If they go for the map straight away, they're looking to see where they made the mistake.
Let's see if we can see it there. Kivikas in the green, going around the top. But Niemi, oh no, that's just the GPS doing something odd there. Maybe just a bit slow coming into the top of 21. But the GPS doing weird things as you go in amongst the buildings. It's not entirely accurate, unfortunately.
Vestergaard. Toiling on the hill. He's feeling the pace at this stage. Get some momentum now going down the hill, being encouraged with some Norwegian friends there.
Westergaard with the silver from the sprint relay last year in Scotland. He's definitely a sprinter, and they decided to focus more on just the sprint discipline from last year. Definitely seeing more athletes start to specialise, and he is one of those people. But probably his time's going to be a bit down on the 15.5 minutes that we saw of the leading time so far. So not quite quick enough for Håkon Jarvis Westergaard.
Well, he's got 20 seconds from here, and he can see the finish now. He knows where it is. It's just not enough, I don't think, but it's a good finish, it's a good run. He's left nothing out there, and he knows it's just not quite enough even at this stage, and certainly not for later on. He is the leader, but he'll know, he'll have a sixth sense that it's not going to be enough. Just feeling the pain at the moment.
He's put a lot of effort in as we catch up with runners out in the town.
Pace quickening. 1:21 is Andrei Khramov from Russia. Going well.
And we just have a new fastest time through the first split. Control number 3, which is 0.8 kilometres. And the New Zealander, the Kiwi Tim Robertson, has gone through with the new fastest time. Great news for him.
Robertson, who was 20th last year, starting in 22nd position, almost halfway, virtually halfway through the 45-strong start list. That's a good mark for him. So this is Khramov going through.
He is 4 seconds ahead of Ruslan Glibov, who was the fastest time so far through that point, and also through our TV spectator control. Great run from him so far.
Touchwood so far, nobody's had any trouble on the bridges. 1:10 is the Italian Andrea Seppi has finished. More of the runners using the river choice now, presumably going to their strengths along the level ground there.
It also simplifies things a lot as well, just to know that you've got to just run along the river, especially at the beginning of the course when you maybe want to just get into the map a little bit, get into the running, and then it's going to be an easy route choice. It's also a very wide road to run along as well.
Glibov has the best time at control 8, but we're watching Khramov here coming in. Looks like a strong runner, stronger about the legs than some of the other runners. And there's our New Zealander Tim Robertson flying through the arena.
Lost a bit of time to Andrei Khramov and Ruslan Glibov on that time, but can still pick it up, though, even just running through this short section here. I've begun to see some British flags being waved in the crowd, and a few people in GB kit out to cheer on their runners. Have Peter Hodgkinson out. He's been through the spectator passage, but Chris Jones is one that we're all going to be watching out for later in the race. We'll come to him, I'm sure, when he starts off later. But this is Tim Robertson. He's been doing a lot of training over in Europe this year, and is really, I think this is a year where he's really gained a lot in strength and in confidence, and the ability to navigate well in the technical terrain that we have here in Scandinavia and across Europe. He's done well in the Europeans. He was 7th in the European Championships and 5th in the World Cup sprint race today. So definitely having a good year this year. As we see a runner from the Czech Republic come through the arena.
Milos Nikodim has headed off to the second bridge. Here are the standings at control 8. Glibov is in the lead there with a 2.3 second advantage over the Russian Khramov. Then Tim Robertson's going well, 5.6 seconds behind. And Sirakov, the Bulgarian, in 4th place there. And then the gap opening up to nearly 20 seconds for the Italian Seppi. 20 seconds of a difference at control 8. Belgian runner Hendricks goes through the arena having finished, followed by the Hungarian Bako. And this is Martin Bostrom, 33 years old, number 9 in the sprint position in the world, so he won't be too far off the mark.
And a previous sprint champion, he's possibly one who may have taken it, known he can take it a bit easier on the qualification race to give absolutely everything to this sprint race. Certainly looking a bit quick at the moment, but going quite far to the left. He's definitely taken the other side of the trees, and he doesn't know what it is.
Oh, it's a bad start, because he was 4th last year in Scotland, and that's a slack start for somebody of his ability.
And I'm sure many orienteers listening to this have done a similar thing to control number 1. It's always one of the tricky ones. You head out of the start control thinking that you're going to give it absolutely everything and just go running off in completely the wrong direction.
Well, he's the first person who took the shortcut up the hill as well, so he's possibly balanced that up, but he'll be disappointed for sure with that start.
He'll be very, very keen to rectify that mistake.
So 1-2-5 going through the arena is Vildis of Lithuania.
This is Timo Sild coming in for the last couple of controls, going back to our side of the river, crossing the bridges, and then he'll have a couple of more controls in amongst the buildings before heading out to the arena. Just punched one there, just behind, I think, all the spectators. You couldn't quite see that before up the hill and around to the left with one more. But now we're following another runner.
This is Glebov, the Russian, who's going well.
Currently in fastest at our TV split. Let's see if he's maintained his speed through the rest of the course.
It's interesting, he doesn't actually look to be fastest, but he's maintaining his pace. He's very steady, looking around all the time, sensing where he has to go, not taking wide turns either. 1-2-6 goes past us, is Osterbo, who was 16th last year, the Norwegian. He would be looking to move himself up from that kind of place.
Well, definitely, he was 4th in the World Cup race, in the sprint race, so he'll want to be definitely bettering that result from last year.
So we're not far off getting the top 15 coming into range now, and that's the, as I referred to earlier, the business end of the race, the runners who finished well up last year and have gone on to maintain that consistency in the qualifying events. The Estonian passing us there is Vajer, number 118, and this is Libov. Spending some time with him now just to see how he comes towards the end.
His form possibly beginning to tire as he just checks the last control, makes sure he punches the right one. We've already seen someone in the women's race punch the spectator control, the one on the right, and then had to go back for the actual finish control, but he seems to have navigated that properly.
No, he's giving it a blast up the bridge. He had a quick look up the road, so he knew where he was heading, and he's finished in very good form indeed, Glebov. And he's taking a swatch. He's taken 20 seconds out of Vestergaard's time, 21.3 seconds to be precise.
Oh, looks tired, but you know, he's fairly happy with that, I think. Yeah, there's a little clench of the fist. He knows he's taken a good chunk out of the time out of the next person, and this is where we can see how he did it. He was already ahead of Vestergaard here and of Sild, but going quickly down that final passage and very smoothly through the last few controls.
He finished well. He made full use of the momentum on the hill coming down, because that propelled him onwards for the 100 metres or thereabouts into the arena over the bridge.
And just able to maintain his speed, as I think we have one of the British runners coming through. Yes, it is. It is indeed.
1-2-8 is Ralph Street.
Yep, a lot of British flags being waved there. A lot of support from the Brits out here. It's good to see. Ralph Street currently in 14th place on our splits that we have on coming up on our computers in front of us just before the arena.
Now, Martin Hubman, 2nd last year. Tell us about the car crash that's left him in the condition he's in.
I haven't got quite sussed out all the details, Dan, but from what I can understand, he was training 4 weeks ago, seems to have collided with a car. I'm presuming he was on foot and the car was there. Luckily, no broken bones or anything like that, but did have some severe shin pain, and 1 week later from the crash, he hadn't run on it at all. So there were severe doubts, and I know he's posted on his blog, there were severe doubts about whether he'd even be at the World Championships at all, but he seems to have made it, and we'll see how his fitness is, how his form is.
Well, he was second last year. He lost by 1.9 seconds to Leanderson, and his brother Daniel Hoopman is the fastest qualifier today. So the Hoopman name will be there or thereabouts.
And Hoopman brothers always have a lot of strong support from their fan club, a lot of Swiss flags waving.
Tranchant, Frédéric Tranchant from France at 1:34. And he's taking the shortcut up the hill as well. He didn't take the wide breach around the bottom, which cost one of the previous runners, Bostrom. But Bostrom, I think, has picked up the pace out on the course because he looked like he had got over the frustration and the disappointment. 1:19 finishing is Sirakov of Bulgaria. Just a difficulty there for Khramov.
Checking he's got the right control, I think. And now, once he's done that, he's very quick through.
One of the local spectators just about got a very big surprise there. You can look at the concentration. Not breaking his stride though.
Try not to look at the map so you can use both arms to power through and get a good power from the arm movement there to transfer through to his legs.
Down at the harbour front, coming around the corner. Whoa, a stumble there. It's the first serious or semi-serious stumble we've seen on the hard surface. Thankfully no trouble on the bridges so far. He's taking a different route round the corner there. Recovered well from that stumble that could have twisted his ankle or got in the way of anything.
He looks fine. It's just orienteers are very used to having different surfaces under their feet, unexpected kind of surfaces and heights and things, so it wouldn't have hurt him too much, but he's making sure, just a little bit uncertain, getting very excited that he's nearly back, but now can properly power it.
Off he goes. Great attack at the bridge, up and over, head down, skips
and only
through.
a few strides coming down off that. It's actually very, very steep. We went to stand on top of it, and it's incredibly steep.
That's a good run from Khramov. Takes him into second place, the Russian, behind the Ukrainian. 15 or thereabouts seconds behind now. Just one or two stumbles here and there that cost them. Jerker Lysel. Now, this is one of the individuals who could very well be in the mix at the end. He was third last year in Scotland, the Swede. Top 10 finish this morning, 10th fastest. He will be there or thereabouts as we watch the New Zealander coming in now. 1-2-2, Tim Robertson, who was 20th last year. Not quite going to split the Ukrainian and the Russian.
Doesn't look like he's matched his brilliant performances at the Europeans and the World Cup races, unfortunately, though. There's still a lot of incredibly fast runners to come in, but a great performance for him.
What I meant to say was he does look like he's going to split them, and he did. So he's managed to get himself between the Ukrainian and the
so this
third
is
place.
Eskil Kinneberg.
So the pace quickening now as the stronger runners come. The Czech Republic, 1:33 is Wojtek Kral. Goes through.
But this is Emil Svensk. He's only running the sprint, so this is all or nothing for him. His only race to do well for Sweden in his home World Championships.
8th fastest finisher this morning, Svensk.
And a good junior who's hoping to progress well into the World Championships. I mean, I can imagine it was a scrap just to get into this Swedish team. So the fact that he's here is incredible, and he's got a gold in the middle and silver in the relay at the Junior World Championships in 2013. So 3 years later, hoping to replicate some of that success.
So he's in amongst some serious company here, because the runners taking on after him are the potential medalists, without a doubt. Kinnenberg there.
Another good junior.
A lot of good juniors in the men's competition, as there were also in the women's competition. 1 or 2 there shone through. Christian Jones, the British runner, would have taken off just before Sphinx. So it'll be interesting to see how he copes, because he was 8th last year. 1, 2, 4 is Kinneberg of Norway, finishing well. And he's split. He's just done enough. 0.4 of a second ahead of Glebov.
He was definitely motivated by a lot of the crowd to get in just that tiny bit before.
They gave him a great lift coming over the bridge, and he would have sensed that. He would have known there was something coming. There's a confirmation of Kinnenberg going into the lead, the Norwegian. 0.4 and then 6.6 seconds to Tim Robertson from New Zealand, and then Khramov slipping down 17 seconds, the gap becoming of an order that these runners simply won't have a say in where the medals are going at the end of the day.
Oh, but an interesting route choice for Khramov here. I think he lost a lot of time by going the long way around there, going down the east of that first building, forcing him to go to the bottom of the hill and take the long way around through that kind of parkland area with a lot of bare rock.
Our Spaniard Antonio Martinez Perez went through to a great cheer from the bunch of Spanish fans.
This is Jörg Lüssel, one of the Swedish hopes. Lots of people waving Swedish flags in the arena, and good news for him, because he went through our first radio control, our first split in first place.
Well, this is our 3rd place man last year. Huge roar of appreciation for him as he goes through.
But a look of concentration, having already turned the map over in his face, as he can focus on running well around this corner, preparing for the bridge and on to the next control.
Looking good. Easy action on the bridge. Took them both in some style. Lots of Swedish flags, as you can imagine, out on the course, particularly here in the arena. 1, 2, 5 shooting past us was Gvildis, the Lithuanian. There's how Lüssel is ahead of Glebov.
Oh, much faster through those very short controls. That's showing his navigational prowess as 1:26 finishes.
Osterbo, 16th last year. Moved up to 4th place at the moment, but won't stay there for too long, because Tranchon has gone fastest at 8. And now Lüssel has gone fastest. And well, just a sense of expectation building up around us here in the arena, as every time he appears, a spot of rain there. Hopefully the only spot of rain.
And we've just seen Chris Jones go through the run through. He got a gold medal at the World University Championships a couple of weeks ago. He has gone through in the 8th fastest time, but only 12 seconds down at this point. There is some time he can make up, but obviously there is such difference. There is a difference in experience and in ability from the World University champs to the World Championships.
And the quality, just the quality of the names. Keyboards, Blaines, Spaniard, Lassen, Tue Lassen, Leanderson, Hoopman. It's going to be some finish by the time that lot sort themselves out. Here we come, Sphinx. 1:27 is coming to the finish. 1:27 is Coupin of France, as Swedish runner.
At the moment, he's the 3rd fastest through this time, but not by much, only 3 seconds behind the lead of Jörg Lüssel. So going great, and a lot of Swedish support there.
And he's the runner that is chasing Christian Jones. And here some of the comparisons now. Again, this route along the island, the riverside,
Lisel interestingly
Very
taking
high.
the same route choice as Maya Alm on that one, and hasn't lost out too badly. I thought that one would be much slower, but actually coming down the hill is pretty good.
British runner going through there. 1:28 was Ralph Street finishing. Out on the course, Lisel.
He's getting support around the whole course. This is what being at a championships in your home country can do.
And that's Sphinx, the taller of the two. 1:38 is Sphinx, takes the wide route round the barrier. Very few diving underneath. 1:44 is last year's champion, Jonas Leandersson of Sweden, defending his title, number 2 on the sprint list at the moment. And a big roar for him as he takes off. Quicker stride, quicker pace.
He's definitely got shorter strides but a higher turnover. That's probably a more efficient running style and one that's likely to leave him with fewer injuries in the long term. This is Martin Hubman.
Martin Hubman, a lot of support, and then 1:29 I think that was, blasting past us. That was Bostrom, I think, finished there. So 1:31 is Martin Hubman. We haven't yet seen his brother Daniel, who will be the final starter. Martin Hubman running well. No evidence of his injury to speak of so far. He may very well have left something on the course this morning. So here we have Daniel Hubman, fastest finisher this morning in the qualifying competition. And Daniel Hubman was 6th last year in the championship in Scotland.
But he is incredibly determined to get another gold medal at the World Championships. Being very careful, thinking about his route to number 2, already going through number 1. He knows exactly where he's going to go. As we switch to his younger brother, Martin, coming in the last couple of controls before the finish, looking pretty solid.
Would you compare them to the Brownlee brothers in the triathlon? It's not dissimilar, is it? Not inconceivable that they could be gold and silver?
Not inconceivable, although I do think Martin's time is down
too
on
much.
a couple of the... Yeah, he's not going to make it up. But they are people who have been dominant in the past. Maybe not quite as dominant as the Brownlee brothers.
Anyway, Martin Hubman has finished well. He's perhaps not the force he was for all sorts of reasons, but he's giving it a blast up the finishing straight there, and he's going to catch number 130, Ushka Barak of the Ukraine on the line. And he does register the fastest time so far, 15:06 to Martin Hubman.
A very popular athlete, and that clearly showed from the support he was getting going through the arena.
Runner-up last year has finished with 15:06, which is the mark to beat at the moment.
But Wojtek Kral, who has the current quickest time going through control number 16, is on his way into the finish. 1:33. He's caught up a minute on the man before him. 1:32.
1:32 is Nikolov of Bulgaria, Kirill Nikolov. So he's leaving him in his wake, and there's the Swedish runner. 1:42. Regborn has gone through the arena.
There are 4 Swedes running in this competition because, of course, Jonas Leandersson is the defending world champion. So the Swedes are allowed 4 runners in this competition. They've got a big team, the Swedes here, and hoping to do well with the men running.
And all 4 were in the top 10 finishers of the qualifying competition this morning. So I think we can work that one out. There will be, unless something very strange happens, a Swede in the top 3 positions, I warrant.
But I think, just looking around the arena now, some umbrellas are going up, some hats are going on, as a few spots of rain
People
start
are
to
looking
fall.
to the sky. It's just a little bit more than a few spots, actually. It's beginning to start. It's just what was predicted, actually. Just maybe a little bit later than we thought it might have been. 1:33, finishing strongly is Kral from the Czechoslovakian Republic.
And Tua Lassen has just gone through the run-in as well. You could see him in the same stretch. He won his heat as well, so hoping to go through very quickly.
So we'll see what these runners have left from the morning. So the Czech Republic runner did well there to squeeze the time at the end, and there's the way Kral made up the time. You see how he was getting ahead of Hubman and Glebov in terms of his pace through the course. Once or twice threatening to get away. There's a big hand now for I think that's a Swedish runner going through. It's 1:44. That is Leandersson, the defending champion, has gone through the arena.
And looking pace. Very quick.
1:34. Now Kral has taken the lead. Kral has the quickest time at 14:52. That's the time to beat now. 14:52.
Tranchon's not going to match it, try as he might. Looking pretty swift on the last few stretches, reaching his hand out to make sure that the timer passes in front of the scanner first, because it is points of the seconds that we're measuring it to. We're measuring it to a tenth of the second.
Second place to the Frenchman. And here is
Anderson making his way to control number 8. TV split control, and it looks like it could possibly be Sweden a 1-2-3 at this point.
Lissell, Sphinx.
He's going to slot into the time between Lissell and Sphinx.
Split now by the champion, who's 3.4 seconds adrift, but that's well within his reach.
So we haven't had any of the Swedes finished yet, and if it carries on this way, that could be 1-2-3 on the podium.
Well, there are the spots of rain on the screens as Lysell comes through, and he's going to be the first home of the local team, the Swedish team. He's going to go into the gold medal position at this stage, we think, because he's got 40 seconds to make up 100 metres, and he's going to take over this bridge. He'll be lucky to touch it, probably. Screaming down and head down for the line, roared home, and he's going to slice 25 seconds off the time, 24 seconds. He's taken off Kral's time. Lysell goes into the lead.
And he has given that so much power, well, so much strength. That's a big time.
That's a huge chunk of time at this stage in the race to be. You'd expect 2, 3, 4 seconds, but to take 25 seconds out of that time, it's laid down a fantastic marker now. Hopefully nothing will be wrong with his equipment there as he unwraps himself. We see here how he made up the time. Let's just see where he got ahead of Hubman. Not much in it there, but then he's just starting to stretch it.
Svenska had the best route choice there, but Lysell had it coming into the 3, and then it's the 3 Swedes going off very well at the beginning, although Kibbert's still in the mix there.
And then he just edged ahead and kept ahead, maintained his pace all the way through there. Good decisions.
I think it seems like the southern route was a bit quicker on there, and that looks like the figure of Chris Jones coming into the finish. It's very tight, still coming in for second place at the moment.
Christian Jones,
looks like he's made up some time. The gold medalist from the World University Champs powering through into second place.
8th last year, and even if it shakes down considerably from here, as we think it will, he'll still be there or thereabouts in terms of improving on last year's performance. That's a good run by Christian Jones at this stage to be in the silver medal position.
And caught up a couple of places even on the last
Seems to have done well in the last sequence, yeah. Sphinx comes in now. Let's have a look at him, 14-14 at this point. It's going to be touch and go.
He's very tight with the time of Wojtek Kral to see if he can edge it into the top 2 to get Sweden as high as possible in the standings. And crowd filled with anticipation.
They can add a second or 2 to his effort because he's in range now. He'll begin to hear the arena as soon as he goes round this junction, left and then back.
He looks tired. He looks like he's put a lot into that course. You can see the pain in his face as he puts his head down and makes his way to the bridge and into the arena.
They'll carry him over the line now as the rain spots fill the screens. Here he comes. Let's see. He's got 30 seconds. He's going to take it, I think.
No, he's down.
No, he's away. He's off the pace. He's going to take the Sixth place. He slipped badly in the closing sequence there.
I think he was just, you could see him struggling. His pace was not quite as quick. He did look more tired, and I think it was those bits where Chris Jones has pulled up a few places in the last couple of spots that it's not been good for Emil Svensk. In fourth spot at Control 8 has evidently dropped a bit, just in terms of speed probably, and endurance over that distance.
So these are the positions at Control 8. Just a reminder that the timing that counts is the one we're all waiting for as we see the last 8 or 9 runners now. It's less than that, I think, to finish. Because we could be talking about the winners coming in the next few minutes. 1:41 Kibbuts.
Yeah, who's just gone into the second fastest time, only 2 seconds time down on the time of Jörg Lusel. So if he has a quick final stretch, then he could be challenging the leading time at the finish.
I think it's safe to say that all the runners on the course at the moment are in with a shout, and as the overhead conditions darken, the hoods are up, caps are on. Everyone's feeling the cold, apart from the runners, because all they're feeling is the pain of reaching the finishing
He's
straight.
looking around very well.
1:39 has come in. Boesen of Denmark has finished, but Liesel's time is still good. And let's have a look. 14:28.6. 1:41 Kibberts.
He's got 30 seconds to get to the finish to see if he can beat the time of Jörg Lusel. He's still got one more control
He'll have to
get.
quicken up. He'll have to quicken. He's got 20 seconds to make the 100 meters here. 15 seconds from the turn. Now the blast. Let's see. Watch the clock at the top and watch the point he reaches the line. He's not going to make it. The clock's going to beat him, but not by much. Not by much. Not by much. He goes second, 2.8 seconds, and he knocks Jones down into third place at the moment. Liesel retains the gold medal position, but he seems reasonably happy with that.
And we heard he was having a bit of a knee injury, so that doesn't seem to be too bad for him.
I think
there.
his indication is that he's pleased to have done what he's done, and he'll settle for how it finishes. 1:42 is Martin Regborn of Sweden. So 4 men in the top 10 setting off. How many can they get in the top 3 finishing? They've got 1 so far. Here he comes.
Swinging his arms very well, looking tired but still holding his form quite well going into this last little bit. Knows exactly where he's heading for the final control. Not every runner's been able to do that. Some flailing wildly and trying to make a decision as they get to the T junction.
He's over the time, so it's not going to be his day. Martin Regborn, a big hand for him as he comes through, because he's going to be in the top 5, I think. Top 5 position for Regborn. He's 5th as we see the champion. Oh, he's at the stop.
Oh no!
Oh, the crowd are just bawling for him there, telling him where to go.
There are a lot of anxious faces looking up at the big screen that I can see, because they know that's cost him a couple of seconds, and that might be all it will come down to.
There's so many jaws dropped in front of us there as he just, that split second of hesitation. I wonder if that has cost him his medal or his position as world champion, because that would be such a difficult thing to deal with. He's still maintaining his run, but
he knows that will have cost him though, so he's going to try and make it up for as much as he can.
He has to give it everything now. It's all or nothing as he comes round. Not quite as... Here is Hoopman. Here's Daniel Hoopman now.
Coming into that control. Oh, that might have been less than a minute. I think caught up a minute there on Jonas Leandersson. Sweden is powering down.
Hubman, who was 6th last year.
But see, he's only got 5 seconds to make it to finish. He's not going to beat the time of Jyrki Lysell, and probably not the time of Matthias Kiberts there as well. Might just slip in front of Chris Jones. I'm sure the Brits will have his fingers crossed that Jones could get a medal here, but it's looking tough as Jonas Leandersson only has
huge
a few more
support.
seconds to get into a medal condition, and he's looking in pain, but it's getting a lot of support.
The champion has crossed the line in 4th position.
Out of the medals.
His title has gone, his medal chance has gone, and here now is Daniel Hubman, who has everything to play for as the rain begins to come down.
He's already gone in and out of that control as he comes out a different way to
galloping, eating
control.
up the ground. 6th last year.
Oh, but no, I don't think he's going to challenge that time.
He's not going to make it because the time is going to beat him. 2 seconds from the bridge. It's not enough. He's in silver medal position at the moment. He's dropping down even further. Blasting through the line. And he's got the bronze medal.
And I think the Swedes know that that was the main man who's going to challenge the time of Daniel Hubman, and a crowd goes up because they know that Jyrki Lysell has almost definitely got the championship gold medal.
Well, they were bound to get somebody in the medals, it has to be said, when they had 4 men in the top 10 finishers from the morning. He gave it his best shot, Hubman. Daniel Hubman in 3rd place. Of course, these finishing positions have to be confirmed, but he's a worthy champion, Lysell, and he came from all the way from 10th starter, 10th finisher, 10th fastest this morning.
Leandersson making a little mistake there into control number 16, actually, and that was where Lysell has got a lot of time up. I think, yeah, he went down the wrong alley, similarly to what we saw a couple of the women do in a different place, and that has cost him a little bit of time. Not too much though, I think he was slowing anyway, but it's made a bit of a difference to him there.
Well, it looks as if Sweden have taken that gold medal. 2.8 seconds the difference between Lysell and Kiberts, and then 8.6 seconds further back. Christian Jones, unfortunately for the British contingent, edged out, but again a gap between the top 3 and the rest of the field. Christian Jones in 4th, Leandersson, the defending champion, in 5th, and then another Swedish place in 7th place. Martin Regborn, the Frenchman, had a good run. Tranchant, Martin Hubman did well to finish in the top 10.
And we can just see that Jyrki Lysell has done a little lap of the arena, giving hugs to some of his family, some of his friends, and some of his coaches, looking over the moon.
He finished well, it has to be said. It was a worthy run and well worth.
And I think he's being hugged by some of his teammates. I see Jonas Leandersson there giving him his congratulations. A medal, a gold medal for Sweden.
And all the way down to the later finishers confirmation there, right down to the 45 places who all started this morning's competition. And 2 disqualifications we see there at the moment. The Spaniard was one of them, and that will be a disappointment to them. But big reception for Lysell as he does his lap of honour here in the rain coming down. But we see there how he won it.
Yeah, he's being so quick through. His speed is just brilliant, just quicker than all of the others, even though they had similar route choices. I think this was a better route choice into number 7, taking it smoother through there, but it's still quicker up until number 8, which was our TV split control. All 3 men there taking the same route into number 9. Potentially not the quickest, but didn't make too much difference. Lysell also not taking what we knew as the shortest route. The Hubman and Kiberts got the shortest route there and then actually came in that one ahead. But I think Lysell just had the speed to take it. Yeah, he definitely lost a few seconds into number 11, but has already overtaken some of that lost time against Kiberts and Hubman, the 2 Swiss runners.
But so, just a little bit of a surprise perhaps that so many of the top 10 finishers from the morning didn't quite make the medals, that the 10th fastest was actually the one who did it.
Well, it's a completely different race.
Yeah.
You know, it's the different conditions. They might not be feeling just so good, and it all comes down to the split decisions that they may have just lost a tiny bit of time.
And somebody having something in reserve.
Yeah.
Just having a look outside our rather elegant tent here in the arena. Everyone's scurrying for cover because the rain has come down. There were some great runs from the women's competition in the morning. It was a very competitive event.
Yeah, Denise for possibly a surprise medal, and then Judith Vida, very, very strong, but nobody really could match the winner. Defending her World Championship title was the magnificent Maya Alm, and Judith Vida had a great run. She was evidently very, very happy with that little fist pump, but at the end of the day, it was Maya Alm who had a supreme run, just so quick throughout all of the controls, making decisions quickly, and it was a great way for her to retain the title.
I think the pictures there say it all, because her composure crossing the line was absolutely fantastic, and she was a thoroughly well-deserved championship, retaining her title from Scotland last year. Maya Alm with a magnificent victory for Denmark, and then Jerker Leisel doing the same for the Swedish team in the men's competition as the weather finally breaks. And it has beaten us eventually, but not before we got the big decisions. It's been quite an afternoon, but now the rain is absolutely torrential, and the flower ceremony for the women's competition will take place first of all on the podium just to our left here. Thankfully the women are well protected from the elements, and we'll join them for the flower ceremony, which will bring the first day's events at the Nokian Tyres World Orienteering Championships to a close.
And of course, in orienteering, the podium positions go to the top 6 athletes. So we will have the top 3 over to the left, and then 4, 5, 6 taking their positions to the right. And they're given flowers, not quite medals yet, because in case of any sort of appeals made or disqualifications.
That will take place in the fullness of time.
But flowers in the meanwhile, so that they can feel the full appreciation of the crowds. And in 6th place, we have Eleanor Roos in a time of 15 minutes and 51 seconds. Running for Switzerland. And Peter Daphnerid, the chairman of the executive board from the municipality of Strömstad, assisting there with the presentation of the trophies and flowers, not just flowers. And in 5th place is Rahel Friedrich, also running for Switzerland, just beating her compatriot by 1 second in a time of 15 minutes and 53 seconds. And in 4th place from Russia, Galina Vinogradova in a time of 15 minutes and 41 seconds.
And then in 3rd place, representing Belarus.
And in 3rd place, a great bronze medal for the Belarusian. It's Anastasia Denisova. As we have a little bit of rain coming into our commentary tent. Hopefully we won't lose you, but it is getting quite wet here.
You can see the screen there just gives you some impression, not the full impression of the weather, because it's turned into quite a dismal finish, but the runners won't mind, because they've done everything. They have now to go away and reset themselves for the challenges of the relays and all the other competitions to come. But it has to be said that there are very few athletes who do championships quite as well as this lady from Denmark, the world champion Maya Alm, defending her title from last year, has taken the crown once again, and thoroughly deserved her championship was too, because she dominated the race, she has dominated the day, and she always accepts her trophies with such good grace.
And now she is the winner of the first ever World Champions jersey for foot orienteering. Maya Alm in 1st, Judith Vida in 2nd, and Anastasia Denisova in 3rd.
Confirmation there of the medal positions. in the Women's Championship, and that ceremony will now be repeated for the men as we look at the key decisions and the key medal-making performances here in the Women's Championship.
Vida coming in first to control number 2, being very quick at the beginning, but not quite having the speed to match it over the whole course. Vida definitely
has a really good speed for the end of the course.
But then already by this point, Alm is beginning to make up some ground just from her pure speed there as we go into through the arena into the change of map as the athletes turned over their maps, and Alm just in the lead, taking some time out of the others on control number 9 purely because of speed and the speed with which she was making her decisions.
Just the consistency is the hallmark of the great champion that she is, because rarely puts a foot wrong and just manages to overpower, and as I said in the commentary, just makes it look so easy.
She really does. She looked so calm crossing the line. She didn't make any mistakes. She executed what could nearly be described as a perfect race. Possibly a wrong route choice for number 2, but it didn't matter because she was so dominant by the end. She's taken so much time out of both Vida and Denisova that her win was incredibly convincing.
Well nigh perfect performance from the great Maja Alm, and we can only speculate that next year she'll try and make it 3 in a row as they head to Estonia for the 2017 championships. But that's a long way off. There's a lot of orienteering to be done, because these were the key moments from the men's race. Daniel Hubman came in 3rd place for a long time. He looked as if he would threaten. But again, it's another medal for the Hubmans, and Daniel thoroughly deserved his performance. Kiburtz ran well to get 2nd place for Switzerland as well. He finished well and was obviously pleased with his performance, although it took its toll, without a doubt. And then there was only one winner really, because he finished in some style and he had the crowd behind him, and he looked like he had more to offer as well. Jerker Leisel, from 10th place in the qualification competition, has made it a gold medal for Sweden, and their confirmation of the results. Kiburtz in 2nd place, Hubman. Christian Jones with a good performance, 19 seconds off the winning pace in 4th place. Regburn, another Swede, in 7th place. The Frenchman Tranchot ran well, and then Martin Hubman acquitted himself very well to come in 9th, and another Swede there, Emil Sphinx, finished in 10th place. 1, 2, 3 of the Swedes there in the top 10. Kinneberg, Glibov, who ran well. Tim Robertson had a good run for New Zealand, finishing in 13th place. The Spaniard Blends, well, greater expectations of him, I think. Osterbo had some mistakes.
Joe Larson, one of the people who won their heat, bit down in the final, not quite able to transfer that speed across.
And Bostrom, Martin Bostrom of Finland, paid heavily for a mistake he made early on. And Vestergaard had run very well as well before the time eventually caught him. And there, an indication of just how the evening has turned. We hope it'll turn again for the better. The forecast is good for the remaining days of the competition in this beautiful city on the west coast of Sweden, and the crowds, to give them their due, many of them have stayed to welcome the prize winners from the men's competition.
There's a group of Brits who formed at the front, ready to congratulate Chris Jones on his podium place. Not quite a medal today, not quite the gold from the World Unis, but
that's a stepping stone. It's all part of a learning curve for somebody like that.
It is, and it's definitely improvement on last year. So I mean, he has to be happy with that. Hopefully, he'll be happy, and it'll be great to see him on the podium.
Well, if he can go from 8th last year to where he finished this year, 8th to 4th, there's only one way, and that's upwards, one hopes. So he'll be looking forward to Estonia already, I'm sure. There, that's what it looks like.
There's the crowd who have gathered with their umbrellas, staying it out to congratulate the world champions of their sport. The best of the best, the people who can make it look so easy and have made it look so easy over the past couple of hours. They deserve to have a big hand and a big reception, and as I think some of them just wait to cool down, change a bit of kit. Obviously the women finished an hour ago. They were very ready for their flower ceremony, but I think there's a few interviews that of course have to take place first. And
the rain sweeping in over the harbour area towards the Swedish coastline. And as Brian Porteous, the president of the IOF, said this morning, the sport has returned to its, what he called, spiritual heartland. The rain does not dampen the smiles. For all that is not a pleasant afternoon, the men's award winners are being given a rousing reception. The red and white flags in front of us here, all manner of flags. The Swedish flag obviously to the fore as well, and they must have hoped that their champion Leandersson would manage to see it through to retaining his title, but it wasn't to be his day.
Chairman at the executive board at Strömstad, and the chairman at the executive board, Liselotte Broberg. Men de här är det dags för lottceremoni för dagens sprinttävling och
smiles of Daniel Hubben, a very popular runner, and then we can see a lot of Swiss flags in the crowd. Definitely a lot of his supporters there who've made it. But in sixth place, from the Czech Republic, it's Wojtek Kral.
Well, he ran well. There was just a while that it looked likely that he would be just that little bit further up the podium, but he was beaten by some very, very good performances.
And one of the two Swedish tops on the podium, Jonas Leandersson.
Well, just one or two uncharacteristic errors from him today that cost him, but that's the way of it. That's the difference between winning and not winning.
And in fourth place, representing Great Britain, it's Chris Jones.
Well, that's a good performance to get to fourth.
I think there's some shouts of appreciation from the audience.
And it seems he did keep something back from the morning, because he was the ninth fastest.
That's how to do it. And in third place, it's Daniel Hubman running for Switzerland. He took third place in a time of 14 minutes and 37 seconds.
So he's gone from sixth last year to third this year, and will no doubt be looking for a similar improvement next year.
And in second place, also representing Switzerland, it's Matthias Kiburtz.
Well, we thought these names would be in the mix, Hubman and Kiburtz. They managed to see off a lot of the Swedish challenge, but they couldn't see it off completely.
And finally, the one that all the Swedes have been staying here to see, the gold medalist and the world champion, it's Jerker Lysel.
Lysel is the world champion for 2016, and the rain is not going to make anyone go home without seeing him pick up his flowers and his awards, because he's a worthy champion. He went from 10th fastest finisher this morning to convincingly streaking home, and a final rousing reception for the six on the podium, and the three medal places there. They'll receive their awards in due course, but it's brought the whole thing to a damp close, but it's not dampened the spirits of everybody who's been here to see quite a thrilling and entertaining day's performance. Their confirmation of the results: Jerker Lysel in first place for Sweden with the gold medal, and he will take great encouragement from that, as will the rest of his Swedish colleagues, for the sprint relays which are to come, because that has brought today to a close. It's been the end of a dramatic first day's competition here at Strömstad. The weather conditions have deteriorated as the day went on, but we had the best of it while the competition was happening. We have a worthy women's champion. Maja Alm of Denmark retained their title. The men's champion, as we saw there, Jerker Liesel of Sweden. We hope you've enjoyed the first day's action. It's been wild, open and challenging for all of us. From Hugh Dan McLennan and Catherine Bate at the IOF Live Centre. Bye for now.